Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. So I have some things that I would like to talk about. I would like to talk about the fact that I'm in a public place, breaking myself out the shell, whether nervous or not, I don't care. I'm here to supply a deep, deep message and get myself acquainted with what's out there. So, number one, we're going to talk about part two of what Tucker Carlson said about what happened on the January 6th insurrection. So what that means is we're going to discuss, I wish I could get on you now, but my baby, my apple is going dead. So I'm not going to be that long. 11:11, break it down into four-part segments. We're going to see how this goes. Let's get started.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight it is Friday, so we are thrilled to be able to open the show tonight with some rare good news. That doesn't happen very often, and when it does, we celebrate. One of the main problems with the U.S. government is that there's no way to know exactly what it's doing because you're not allowed to know. More than 1 billion federal documents, 1 billion, have been declared classified, and that means they're off limits to you and all other ordinary American citizens who don't work for the government. You're not allowed to see them, despite the fact they belong to you. Now, no matter what you may have heard, the point of the system is not to protect the country from foreign adversaries. Under the Biden administration, we don't even bother to do that anymore. No, the point of this system is to take power from the voters and the officials they elect and hand that power to the permanent bureaucracy in Washington. It's infuriating, and over time,
how are they going to take power away from voters? They're doing it right now. It's nothing but favoritism being played and going on right now as we speak. If you don't know, there is a system called Dominion. It's called Dominion. And there's rumor that Nancy Pelosi, she has shares from Dominion. Now, her first social security number doesn't show Dominion, but nobody looked into her second or third social security number. So what that means is that people are taking different socials, because I plan on using my social for good. My second social, I have every right to want a new social based on what's went down with me. But there is no transparency within the government. It's okay for the government to lie to us, but when it's okay for us to lie, but it's not okay for them to be truthful with what technology and what is really going on out there. So let's continue to watch. Listening ears.
it is dangerous. But for once, we can report some pushback against the of secrecy and deceit. Kevin McCarthy of California became Speaker of the House last Friday. And in one of his first big policy changes, he is pledging to let Americans see, quote, all that happened at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. That means finally releasing the roughly 14,000 hours of surveillance footage from that day that, as of tonight, remain hidden. Watch this.
Yeah, I think the public should see what has happened on that. I've watched what Nancy Pelosi did, where she politicized it, where for the first time in the history as a speaker, not allowing the minority to appoint to a committee, to pick and choose. We watched the politicization of this. I think the American public should actually see all what happened instead of a report that's written for a political basis. And
Now, to be quite honest, I agree with Kevin McCarthy. That's 14,000 hours of footage from the January 6th insurrection that the people need to see, not the snippets that you want them to see, because everything isn't going to go right. Everything is starting to come to light because, like I called months ago, I had reason to believe that there were fake Trump supporters there trying to manipulate people into sinning and doing the wrong thing. I called that out months ago. Months ago. I made sure I called it out months ago because so even the police, it was a setup. Even the police, it was a setup. They had people in uniform. They had people in uniform pretending to be the police. Now, who do you know with that much power that can manipulate them? They were there on the grounds at the Capitol while Nancy Pelosi, Mike Pence, Chuck Schumer, and the rest of the Brady Bunch crew was there. Something went awry. My personal opinion, I am entitled to it. I have reason to believe that certain elite officials sat up there and placed these officers, these fake officers, 14 hours of footage, fake officers, crooked politicians, a whole bunch of mess. Now, it gets even worse, y'all. I want y'all to see this whole footage. It gets crazier and crazier and crazier. Like, y'all need to see that Donald Trump is innocent. People don't believe that.
I think the answer. We're looking through that. I want to be very thoughtful about it, but yes, I'm engaged to do that.
Well, yeah. After 2 full years, after a highly publicized and highly politicized congressional committee, after endless grandstanding in the media, after unprecedented political crackdowns, after nearly 1,000 arrests, after all of that, Americans, yes, they do have a right to know what actually happened on January 6th. That's what Kevin McCarthy said. Who could argue otherwise? What's the counter argument? Well, there is one, and Democrats have been making it in court, and that's why the footage from that day is still hidden. Here's an actual quote from an actual brief filed in an actual federal court by an actual left-wing U.S. attorney called Channing Phillips. Quote, national security.
It says national security interests could be harmed by the disclosure of the sealed CCTV videos. That is crazy. It is okay for the government to lie to us and promise us stuff, but when we have a voice and speak out as veterans, as citizens, it's a problem. It's a deep, deep problem, like a deep, deep state. Like, I don't get it. What is so vital that it is a national security risk? Because I'm right. I'm right about what I said 6 to 9 months ago. What happened 6 to 9, not even when I finally realized that something isn't right, they're showing different areas of cameras. Like the Capitol have swarms of cameras. So why aren't they showing the seriousness of what happened, which was absolutely nothing? The real Trump supporters didn't do nothing. The fake police came in and routed them inside. Who routed them inside? Once they were inside, they were taking pictures. Something isn't right.
Security interests could be harmed by the disclosure of the sealed CCTV videos from the Capitol. Once the capabilities of a U.S. Capitol interior surveillance camera, including its position and whether it pans, tilts, or zooms, is disclosed to the public via the release of a single video from that camera, the cat is out of the bag. So that's it right there. You can't know whether the Capitol's surveillance cameras pan, tilt, or zoom. And if you do know.
My God, I wanted to say something about this very, 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 very serious. Pan, tilt, or zoom. Once again, they're covering stuff up. Who cares? I've done a class on pan, tilt, and zoom. Something is amiss. What is really going on within our community?
America is in peril. It's completely absurd. Every human movement in the United States Capitol is recorded by cameras, and you already knew that because the same is true in virtually every public building in the Western Hemisphere. That is not a secret. And of course, it's not the secret the Democrats fear you might learn if you saw the tape. They're probably a lot more concerned about whether you'll discover how many law enforcement agents actively helped January 6 protesters enter the building that day. Some of them definitely did. We know that for a fact because we have the tape. Watch.
Police are squabbling with protesters. Oh, there we go. And the Capitol again.
Did you see that? You know, I called the DC police and told them to relay a message to the FBI, and I got hung up on. That's how they do. I was crying and everything, and I got hung up on like some psychotic chick. But it's 5 of those officers committed suicide. 5. Same way, shot to the head. So how is that a coincidence? What is the coincidence?
Come down in front of the Capitol. In some cases, it was not actually the police who took them down. But we still don't know the identity of the people who did. Why don't we? Well, Julie Kelly has just reported on a remarkable moment in the ongoing trial of a man called Richard Barnett. Barnett is the man photographed with his feet famously on Nancy Pelosi's desks on January 6th. Under cross-examination from Barnett's defense lawyer this week, a U.S. Capitol Police commander called Carnashia Mendoza admitted that unidentified but apparently highly trained agent provocateurs were leading the crowd that day. Here's the exchange. The defense attorney asks, quote, would it be fair to say that at least some of the leading edges of that crowd, they contained bad people or provocateurs? Is that fair? Mendoza's response, quote.
Look at that very carefully, you guys. It says, I'm going to read what it says, okay? Would it be fair to say that at least some of the leading edges of that crowd, they contain bad people or provocators? Is that fair? It's fair, which means that there are, at any rally, there are antagonists and there are people that are against the cause that studies other people power in their situation that they're in. Like, for instance, going to these rallies means a lot. I can't make it to the Trump rallies, so what I do,
quote,
sorry. So what I do is I watch on RSBN. I watch on RSBN his rallies. Everybody that comes to that rally isn't for Trump. They're just infiltrating to see what he says in the rally, what he does. This, a week before the January 6th, guess what happened? Trump recommended to Nancy Pelosi that the National Guard come in. Nancy Pelosi rejected that, right? What is wrong with everybody? We are in a fight for our lives.
Mendoza went on to confirm that these provocateurs were, quote, highly trained, violent people who worked together and coordinate together. Well, that's a remarkable admission. But who were they?
Just think if there was no law and no order. Just think if there was no law and no order. People educating themselves about what really happened at the January 6th insurrection. If there was no law and no order, Trump would be arrested. Donald John Trump would have been arrested illegally. So there's some hope in the system. But my personal opinion is it needs to be tweaked a little bit based on it being 2023.
These people. Under oath, the director of the FBI has refused to deny that these provocateurs were working with federal law enforcement. Indeed, Christopher Wray of the FBI has refused to confirm or deny that FBI agents dressed as Trump supporters and breached the Capitol. Watch this.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentleman's
January
time
6th.
has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision
Ms.
not to share information.
Director Wray,
Confidential human
gentleman's time has expired.
Well, that's just completely outrageous. First, it seems very obvious the FBI did have confidential sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol. But the fact is, we as Americans have an absolute right to know. How many FBI agents or informants participated in the January?
Did y'all read that? It's obvious that the FBI did have people dressed as Trump supporters at the insurrection. So the FBI had people, crooked politicians had people, people were paying people to do something organized. If you think the government don't have a way to making things organized, then you're wrong. So it's crazy.
January 6 rights. Why can't we know? There's no good reason. FBI Director Christopher Wray wants to keep the surveillance footage hidden so we can't know. Again, the real secret here is not whether the cameras in the Capitol pan, tilt, or zoom. It's ridiculous. The real secret is what really happened there. So for 2 years, the Department of Justice has fought the release of this footage. But still, some of that footage has emerged. Take a look at this tape. It was obtained by BuzzFeed. It was released only after a federal judge rejected the DOJ's claim that this particular footage needed to stay secret on, quote, national security grounds. The footage covers a 15-minute period on January 6th from 2:25 p.m. to 2:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, that's right in the middle of the so-called insurrection. For context, 2:26 p.m. is around when Mike Pence, then the vice president, was evacuated from the Capitol. These are images from a surveillance camera at the Senate wing of the complex, and they show people calmly walking around taking pictures. Not much of a riot. Now, that's relevant because the DOJ is charging some of the people who entered the Capitol around this time, probably some of the people in the
Mike Pence, somebody who we thought was a sincere Republican vice president, stabbed Trump in the back and used his power as much as he could against Trump. I watched the beginning of the January 6th insurrection clown show committee, and they were like, I'm glad that I gave my life to God and that this will be done the right way, for our founding fathers will want it to be done that way. I believe that Trump was wrong. What about you, Mike Pence? You and Nancy Pelosi and Liz Cheney and the rest of the Brady Bunch crew sat up there and did this to a good man that cares about Black people, that cares about all races. And Let's look at Liz Cheney. Her husband is Hunter Biden's lawyer. Okay, she's Republican. She's a swing Republican. Mike Pence, he works with the Democrats. Swing, Mo, these are Mo's. Y'all never met Mo's before because they don't come out and say Mo's. They're Mo's. They get hired to do corrupt and crooked things. So we got Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Mike Pence were in the same room together. They were in the same room. What is going on, people? Wake up. There's a lot of corruption, and we deserve to know what those 14,000 hours of footage claim to be. The camera doesn't lie. Just like when I fell out. I fell out 3 times at the CBS. 3 months later, somebody, something, someone took that footage. Why? Cover up.
In those frames, with endangering the safety of Mike Pence. They're saying the Capitol itself was a
Do y'all see this? Look to your right. You see Mike Pence? Do he look scared? Do he look like, oh my God, they're coming to kill me? Do the people that was in the Capitol look violent? Do they look like they're just taking pictures? For 15 minutes during the time that Nancy and Mike Pence called, nobody was doing nothing. Only a selected few.
restricted area because Mike Pence was present. But it does not appear from that footage that it's true. Where exactly was Mike Pence at the time? People are doing jail.
Hi everyone. I won't be able to put anything else on here until I get home, but we're going to get to the bottom and watch a couple of videos that shows and proves Trump innocent. This is no longer, this is a national security threat. It's a threat to you, it's a threat to me, it's a threat to everyone. Children, children, children for the future. If inflation goes up, what are your children's future going to look like? It's going to be madness. So, see you later. Talk to you soon. Bye.